I am in my closet. Yes. As a mom of four boys, sometimes there are just certain places where you can get away to and you know it's going to be quiet. And today I wanted to talk about how Mel Robbins helped me to reclaim my mornings and also to kind of get over my mommy brain. Um, get away from the kids, but I can't get away from the dog. Um, so back in 2017, that is when Mel Robbins released her book, The 5 Second Rule. And really, when I had my first introduction to her, and it's also when I gave birth to Jordan, my youngest of four boys. And anybody that's been through pregnancy knows that it's a different time. You kind of throw the rules out the window and you make things work as best as they can for your pregnancy. And then the baby comes. And for me, this was baby number 4. So this wasn't like new to me, but every baby is a new experience and has, differences. There's different things you go through. So I was already kind of steeped in my business and what I was doing with that. And motherhood and running my household, and I kind of had a pattern for things, but it had also been majorly disrupted with pregnancy and just having a baby. So listening to the 5 second rule was huge for me because, the sleepless nights that you have when you're a new mom, I was having those, and, or just getting up a lot, needing to feed the baby and everything else. And I was finding that I had no time for my business like I wanted to, and not a whole lot of predictability. And I really needed to be able to start getting up early again so that I could claim that for myself as much as was possible. I mean, you know how unpredictable it can be. Some mornings you think, oh, I'll get up at 4:30 or 5 and I'll be good because the kids will sleep until 8. And then they surprise you and they get up for a feeding when you don't expect or whatever. So as much as I could plan, I wanted to be able to plan. I wanted to create a routine that had room for my goals, my dreams, and my desires again, not just revolving around the baby. And I don't mean that in any kind of selfish way. I mean that in the way that, like, I needed to fill my cup so that I could be sane and present and happy. And when I listened to her book, I loved her style. I love the way that she just doesn't hold back, and she just shoots from the hip because that's how I am. And I like it when people talk straight to me and they don't sugarcoat stuff. And that is the experience that I got listening to her books, especially because she reads them and she's a lot of fun to listen to talk. And when she talked about sleep inertia and sleep cycles and hitting the snooze button, it was huge for me because in the areas of my life where I was still feeling, or even now in areas of my life where I'm still feeling like things aren't exactly the way that I want them to be, I can get into a habit of becoming a researcher, becoming somebody that just is going to learn and learn and learn and doesn't take action or apply. And it's the lack of action that is preventing the results, not the lack of knowledge. And her whole 5 4 3 2 1 do it kind of thing really started to propel me towards the action I needed to take. And then, the proof and the science behind sleep inertia on top of that, that was enough to get my tired butt out of bed and suck it up, especially if I could avoid the cold shower technique that she talked about. So very quickly, the very simple technique of just counting down and then doing whatever the thing was began to change the action that I would take. And it began to get me out of that mommy fog that I felt like I was in and back to having a life that felt like it kind of belonged to me again, too. And not just to creating a life and nurturing a baby and raising my other 3 kids and trying to keep meals on the table and the house not a total disaster. So I highly recommend that. And also, it was a huge catalyst to affirming my growing beliefs at that time that the things that were preventing me from doing what I wanted to do weren't the things, but my feelings about the things. And it's exactly that kind of thing that got me to where I am now with working on people and their feelings with the emotional freedom technique, because it's always our feeling about the thing or our feeling while we're doing the thing that is keeping us from being successful with the thing. I know that's really like generic, but whether it's not exercising or not eating right or whatever, it's always the feelings that get in the way of the success, not the doing of the actual thing. And she made that crystal clear too in one of the chapters of that book. There's so many ahas and takeaway moments in there. I highly recommend it. And it's a good, like, kind of, I don't want to say like a slap in the face, because it's not it's like a wake you up, you know, bring you back to life, straight from the heart, shoot from the hip kind of book. And I really appreciated that about the book and about everything else that Mel's put out in her other books. And I highly recommend listening to them with her reading them, because that just adds to it versus picking up the book and reading it.